Hello and welcome to the BlytheRay Business News. Today we're joined by Andy Warne from National Milk Records. Andy, welcome.
Good to see you.
So since we last spoke, you've signed a contract with Genus. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, I'd love to. So there's two really important parts of this. Firstly, the fact that it's Genus, and Genus is the biggest genetics company in the UK. So they have a very big footprint, and so they have a lot of customer relationships. And so the fact that we're tapping into the Genus footprint in order to provide genomics testing is just a great revenue stream. So that's obviously important. But I think the sort of subtle thing here as well is that we're working very collaboratively with Genus in the genomics project. And when you look around the rest of the global dairy industry, the genetics companies and the milk recording organisations work very closely together. So if you look at New Zealand or Holland or the US, then the milk recording organisation is very often owned by the genetics company. And so the fact that Genus and NMR are now working much more collaboratively is a really good indicator of good things to come in the future.
Okay, brilliant. And how will this relationship help the agricultural industry with its net zero goals?
Okay, so this is all about animal breeding. So if you go back in time, when you came away from the Second World War, so in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was all about production. So bulls would be marketed on the fact that they had daughters which produced more milk. Then coming into the end of the last century, so the 80s and 90s, then animal health became much more of a breeding objective for UK farmers. So again, when bulls were marketed to farmers, it was their credentials in terms of having daughters which were healthier that was the key sales force. Now you've got the fact that the environmental impact of dairy is under scrutiny, and so farmers and milk processors are encouraging the use of breeding to produce cows which have less of an environmental footprint. And in simple terms, that is animals that eat less to produce the same amount of milk. So in terms of animal breeding, we've moved from production into animal health, and now there's a very strong environmental impact within that.
Okay, and can you tell us a bit more about how genomics works?
Yes, so in very simple terms, that's where milk recording and genetics work very closely together. So we have a very large database where we would have information on cows. So let's just say good cows and bad cows. Doesn't matter whether it's good cows for environmental impact or good cows for health or good cows for production. But we would have a database, quantitative data, to say these animals have a good environmental footprint, and also other animals which have a bad environmental footprint. So we can identify those animals, and then we can take a DNA sample from all the good animals, DNA sample from all the bad animals, and in that way we can produce what we call a genomic key, which allows us to identify the DNA of a good animal and the DNA of a bad animal. And then we can use genomics on very young calves, very young female calves, to identify whether they, in their milk production, will be effectively a good animal with a low environmental impact, or a bad animal with a higher environmental impact. So genomics unlocks the female side in terms of better breeding. Up until this point, farmers have used better bulls to provide selection pressure, but by using genomics, we can identify the better or worse females, and that increases the selection pressure because you have selection pressure on both sides.
Okay, thanks. So we've spoken about the industry as a whole, but how is that going to impact the business?
So from NMR's point of view, this is a massive impact. This is a moment in time when there is a disruptive technology that we have access to. And one of the key things that happens with genomics is that it enables a new type of milk recording, which is actually called Genus cells. And then we've licensed this technology from a French organisation who already have commercialised this and have 1,000 dairy farmers on a Genus cells contract. And Genus cells allows us to monitor the somatic cell counts of individual cows in a much more efficient way than we have done previously. So this gives us a unique and exclusive way in which we can disrupt the market in terms of milk recording in the UK, and allows us to target our competitors with something which they don't have access to. So genomics in itself and the contract with Genus gives us a new revenue stream. It's very exciting from an animal breeding point of view, but it also gives us access to this service called Genus Cells, which is a disruptive technology in our core milk recording business, which will allow us to grow market share. So this is a real moment in time for NMR.
Brilliant, sounds very exciting.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming to join us, and we look forward to catching up soon.